Hi, it's Kathy Adams Clark, and welcome back. This is a continuation of previous lessons on how to use Adobe Bridge CS6. We're in Bridge right now, and I have selected 4 images that look virtually the same. A little bit of camera movement in between each image, but otherwise they're about the same. One of the beauties of working in Adobe Photoshop Bridge is that I can work on multiple photos at one time. It's called batch processing. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to highlight each one of the images, and then I'm simply going to double click, and when I double click, each one of the images opens up in Camera Raw 7.0, or the version of Camera Raw that you've got on your computer. You can see from the first image that it's blurry, and so I'm definitely not going to use that image. So let's go ahead and just throw that one away. And I did that by simply just clicking on the trash can. I can always unclick that if I'd like to get it out of the trash can. But what I just did there was to put the second one in the trash can. So go back, unclick, there we go. And we'll come and we'll look at this one in a little bit more detail. So I have got 3 images that are still left that I can work on. I see from clicking through them that that second image is definitely blurred. So really we only have 2 images that we're going to work on. So what I'm going to do is I am going to hold down my Shift key and click on that second image. And now I can process both images at exactly the same time. Remember that we start with clarify, because all images need to be clarified. That kind of sharpens them up just a little bit. We're going to vibrance and we're going to saturate. And then going back to the first image, because now we've taken care of that on both images, I see that I've got my blue highlights showing right here. That tells me that that area is blocked out. It's pure black. It's not going to have any detail in it. So that tells me that we've got to move that black slider. So we're going to move the black slider until all of that black detail gets filled in. So just that blue is warning us, and that's that blue triangle right there that's telling us, that's warning us. Now these city lights in here are showing up through this red, and that's where I've got the spike over here on my histogram. And so we can move the histogram to the left side to try to get rid of some of those highlights, but you see that really we're not doing much good. So let's take that back, not change the exposure on the image, take that back, there we go. And then move the highlight slider to see if it makes any difference. It doesn't, so that means that those lights are just blown out in this photograph. No need. A lot of city lights do that when we're photographing at night. Nothing else drastic needs to be done. Let's go check the second image. And once again, it has the blue down here. So let's get rid of that with the black slider. Let's see what will happen if we change that exposure just a hair, not too much on those red highlights once again. And so let's just reset it back to 0. Take the highlight slider, move it down just a little bit. See, we've got a little bit of detail coming back into these city lights right here. A little bit more blue highlights down in this area, so just move that slider just a hair. There we go. And then let's take these 2 images, now that we've got them basic processed, let's take these 2 images, highlight them again, and let me show you a new thing that we've got back here under this little tab called Lens Correction. And if you go to Profile and click on Enable Lens Profile, you'll see that the lens you use to take the photograph shows up right here in the lens profile. Watch what happens to the image. Watch carefully the image. When I unclick the lens profile, it sort of bends backwards. When I click the lens profile, it sort of comes forward. You notice that? And so it's a good idea to click that lens profile most of the time. I'm going to go down to the second image because this looks to be about the best one that I'm going to keep. And you notice that something is right there, probably a photographer who was right next to me while I was taking it. So I'm going to click on my crop tool, and I'm going to go over just a hair like that and just cut out that one little section of the image, just like that. There we go. So now we've cropped that image just a little bit. While I'm over in lens correction, I'm going to try one more thing, and that is move these vertical and horizontal sliders. Many times when you're working with city images, landscape images, with a wide-angle lens, the top of the image will sort of fall backwards from you. And so we need to bring that top of the image back to make buildings look more natural. Now notice also what that did to the freeway pillars down in the bottom. I'm going to take it back. See how that freeway pillar is leaning? So when I take the top of the photograph and I move it back, then that freeway pillar also gets straightened out. So I've eliminated some distortion in my photograph. And now my photo is cropped just a little bit better with that nice straight line right there. Let's make sure that that building is actually straight up and down by pulling my alignment tool. We learned about that in a previous lesson. Pull it like that, and then my photo gets just a little bit better aligned. I've got this side of the photo parallel with this pillar of the freeway. This line is straight down the center. It's looking good. So I'm going to like this photo the way that it is, and I'm going to give it 4 stars to tell me that this is an image that I like. Going back to this image, I can roughly do exactly the same thing just by simply playing around with a little bit of that vertical play, bring that freeway pillar straight, make that building straight, and then go in and make the crop that needs to be made on that once I get it set just like I want it. There's a lot more that we could do with this image and play around with it, but for right now, I'm going to leave you with this. Try it on some of your images, see how you do, and come back for another lesson. I'm going to click Done, and then that takes me back into my bridge, and those 2 images are processed because you can see the icons up here. Thanks very much for joining me. I'm Kathy Adams Clark. Come on back for another lesson, and let me show you some more things we can do in Adobe Photoshop Bridge. Thanks.